All right, what's up guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, we got a pretty chill, lighthearted, fun video. We got some spoilers to go over from OP13. Okay guys, so let's do this. Let's get right into it. I will have everything timestamped in the general description, and I'll have all relevant links and stuff like that in the comment section below. If you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please do not hesitate to put those down in the comment section below, or hop on the VV Theory Discord. Link will be in the channel description. Today's video is brought to you by Nin Garden. To celebrate their 1-year anniversary, they're thanking the fans with a huge sale. Nearly everything in the store is $30 or less, and you can use my code, the VV Theory, at the checkout for an extra 5% off on your next order. Alright guys, let's go and break down these spoilers. Now I think this will be the last OP13 spoiler review that I do, because I believe OP13 will be releasing in the East in about 1 week from the time we're recording this video. Okay, now once they come out with the official, cards on the sim and everything, with all the official English translations and whatnot, then I would do an entire OP13 set review. Okay, but until that comes out, we got some cards to look at still, right? So let's do this, guys. Let's get into it. First up, we have Meteor Fist. This is a red 3-cost Navy event with main. Give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 5,000 power for this turn. Trigger, activate this card's main effect. Okay, so you're paying 3 to do minus 5,000. That is basically removal, right? Because at this point, I mean, think of it like this. Especially within the Navy deck type, you're going to have many ways to attack into active characters, right? But even without that, I mean, this is just very powerful with any red deck. If you drop down the power of a character by 5,000, think of it like this, guys. The biggest characters in the game are typically like 12,000 power. There's a few Goldie Roger cards that are 13,000 power. Well, if you give a 12,000 power card minus 5,000, that's a 7,000 power card. That's very easy to deal with, and that is all the way at the higher ends of the spectrum for this, right? Like pretty much some of the biggest characters you can find. The average target you're going to hit with this will probably be somewhere between 7 to 10,000 in power. So you hit them with this, and it's going to be very, very easy to deal with them after that. So I'm a big fan of this card. And this is a strong utility event for any deck that's running red. This is not leader locked, even though it is a Navy type card, and it will probably get the most benefit being run in a Navy deck that can attack into active characters. This is still a very, very solid high utility event. I'm a big fan of this one. Okay, let's move on to the next one. All right, next up we have Brook, guys. So Brook is a 3-cost, 4,000 power slash character with a 1k counter, film, and Straw Hat Crew type, with the effect on play, if your leader has the film or Straw Hat Crew type set up to one of your Dawn cards as active. Okay, this has become a very major theme in OP13 for green. And yes, this existed before. Of course, we had Cavendish all the way back in what, EB0, was it EB01, I believe? We've had Cavendish for a while. We've had Smoker now, where you can like activate main, set a Dawn card as active. And then even in OP12, I believe it was, we got Dracula Mihawk, right? And that was Standing Dawn as active. Well, guys, in OP13, that has become a major theme within green, right? Where we've seen a Luffy that can do this. We've seen a Sanji, a Zoro, now a Brook. It looks like this is the new design direction for, I should even say not just design direction, but even like color identity direction for green moving forward. I mean, we'll see what happens if they continue to do this each set, but this is definitely meant to be a big thing within film and Straw Hat Crew for green. As far as this card goes, it is locked. Okay, this is if your leader has the film or Straw Hat Crew type, you can set up to one of your Dawn cards as active. So it is very much leader locked, right? We can't really run this in anything other than film and Straw Hat Crew type leaders. But within those decks, this seems like a very strong card. I mean, even if you're not, how do I say this? Like, even if you're trying to run this in the new red-green Luffy and you're playing this out on curve, okay, you might not get to use your leader effect because you might not have enough Dawn open if you're playing this out on curve going first. So 3 Dawn, play this down, and 1 Dawn becomes active. Okay, but you still get to attach a Dawn to your leader and swing for 6,000 power into a, maybe a potential 6,000 power leader. So this card is going to be very solid. And in the later stages of the game, if you have 10 Dawn and you play out a 3-cost character like this for, a 3-cost 4,000 power character, you get a Dawn card back as active, or well, how do I say this? You'll set up to one of your Dawn cards as active, and now this was basically like a 2-cost 4,000 power character. I'm not sure if there will be enough room for this to fit into like the red-green Luffy deck from OP13. We'll have to see what happens, but it's still a very solid card, and you can see what they're trying to do with green, with this card and others that are like it from OP13. Okay, let's keep going. All right, next up we have Gordon. We have a green, 1-cost, 0-power, 2K counter character with the film type. And on play, you may reveal 1 card with the film or music type from your hand. And at the end of this turn, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. Okay, now you do have to pay 1 just to do this effect. So again, on play, you may reveal 1 card with the film or music type from your hand, and then at the end of this turn, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. And that's not an activate main; it's an on-play effect. So I'm not a huge fan of this because you're basically paying 1 to get 2 as active when you could have just not paid 1 and still had just 1 as active at the end of the turn. But who knows? Again, I'm not a huge fan of what they were doing with this one, but it is just meant to be a utility 2K counter, and that doesn't mean it's a bad card or anything, but it seems like you're just going to be able to pay 1 to get 2 as active at the end of your turn. So, that could come in handy. Maybe you needed exactly 2 left, but if that's the case, hang on. If that's the case, though, think about what this card is meant to be played in, probably something like Red-Green Luffy, right? Well, if you just leave 1 Dawn as active, you can still use, you can use your leader effect with that for a 2K counter. And then if you didn't get rid of this card, this is another 2K counter. So I'm not sure exactly what was going on there. Who knows? Maybe there's a way to... Now, I will say this. If you can maybe bounce this back every turn in like a green and blue deck, maybe you can get recurring value from something like this. But otherwise, I would rather just keep the 2K counter in my hand and leave my 1 Dawn as active for the turn. And there's my 4K counter that I need to use for the turn. Because otherwise, if you play this out, and you get the 2 Dawn active at the end of your turn, remember, you had to spend 1 Dawn just to play this card out, okay? And now your opponent knows a card in your hand because you had to reveal that on the on-play effect, and then you get 2 Dawn as active at the end of the turn. But you could have just left 1 Dawn as active and kept this 2K counter in your hand. Does that make sense, guys? Sorry if that's a little bit repetitive or if it's a little bit clumsy. You guys tell me what y'all think about this one in the comment section below. I'm not in love with this effect, but I'm also not saying it's a terrible card or anything. Just not exactly sure what they're going for here. The one thing that I can think of, because remember, guys, this is an end-of-your-turn effect that will happen. You on-play, and at the end of your turn, you're going to set 2 of your Dawn cards as active. So who knows? Maybe the best way to do this is if you already have a Dawn attached to your leader from some other effect, and then you play this out, revealing a film or music card, and you have 2 Dawn to use at the end of your turn, and then you developed a body on the board. I guess that's one way to look at it. Either way, let's keep going. Not too bad. Tell me what y'all think about this one in the comment section below. Am I missing something, guys? Help me out. Okay, next up we have Kobe. Kobe is a 5-cost, 6,000 power green character with a 1K counter, film Navy type with blocker. Okay, on play, if your leader has the film type or the strike attribute, okay, pay attention here, guys. Strike attribute, very interesting. Set up to 1 of your Dawn cards as active. Okay. First of all, this picture is really cool of Kobe. Check that out, guys. We will zoom in on this real quick. That looks awesome, doesn't it? Very cool picture of Kobe. It's almost like he's going Super Saiyan in this one. I know for all the Dragon Ball Z nerds out there, all the Dragon Ball fans out there, it almost looks like he's going Super Saiyan where his hair is getting, blasted upwards. Really cool stuff here. Okay, but as far as the card itself goes, 5 cost, 6,000 power, 1K counter character that's film and Navy searchable, by the way, and then blocker. That's already pretty good. That's already pretty justifiable, to run something like that. Then we have the effect. On play, if your leader has the film type or the strike attribute, set up to 1 of your Dawn cards as active. I'm surprised they didn't do it the other way around. I feel like this one they messed up on a little bit. I could be wrong. I don't know. But in my mind, I'm thinking, I feel like this card should have been, if your leader has the Navy type or the strike attribute, set up to 1 of your Dawn cards as active. I don't know, maybe something like that. Who knows? You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. But I will say this, setting up to 1 of your Dawn cards as active, that's going to be really nice. This ends up working as like a 4-cost, 6,000 power blocker, and it has a 1K counter. Again, this goes right in line with the green thing we were just looking at with Brooke, where you're setting Dawn as active. We also saw it with the 2K counter Gordon as well. I think this is a solid card, especially in the new Red-Green Luffy coming out. You're going to be able to set a Dawn card as active, and then you can attach that to your leader, attack in if you need to, or leave it active if you already have a Dawn attached to your leader to get some extra value later. But either way, really cool stuff here. Okay, let's keep going. All right, next up we have Tony Chopper. This is a 5-cost, 6,000 power, 1K counter animal character, animal, film, and Straw Hat Crew character with on play set up to 2 of your Dawn as active. Okay, so this is a very interesting thing to look at here, and it goes perfectly with what we just saw with Kobe, right? It's this idea of, okay, Kobe was a 5-cost, 6,000 power, 1K counter character with a blocker, and then on play, if your leader were specific types or attributes, then you can set 1 Dawn as active. Well, this card doesn't have blocker, so they were able to amplify, they were able to buff the on-play effect so that you could just have 2 of your Dawn cards as active. So I'm not going to lie. I think I like this card even more than the Kobe. I don't know why. I just think having access to more Dawn is probably preferable, right? Because that's going to be a major theme here. Like, yes, you lose a blocker in this process. Like, say if we were building a deck and the last spot came down to, do I run Tony Chopper or do I run Kobe? Well, now this is a Straw Hat searchable card, so that could also, matter as well, depending on how you build the deck. But not just that. Just the fact that we get 2 Dawn as active means if I play this card out on curve, right? 5 Dawn, I play this card out, I set 2 of my Dawn cards as active. Okay, I can now attach 1 Dawn to my leader, swing in for 6, and I have 1 Dawn as active now for my leader's effect next turn, or on my opponent's turn. That I feel like is better than if we play out the Kobe and we play this card out on curve. Yes, we have a blocker, but we don't want to use the blocker, right? We don't want to cash in on our blocker that early, if that makes sense. I don't know. Maybe this card would be better to play out on your second, or if you're going second on your 6 Dawn turn, because then you get the Dawn back as active. You swing for 6 with your leader, and then you can block and maybe protect this card too. I can't remember. I can't remember if Red, Green, Luffy can protect film and Straw Hat characters or just Straw Hat characters. But I'll say that right now, if Red, Green, Luffy cannot protect anything other than Straw Hat characters, which I think is the way it's worded, then we can't even really cash in on that value either. But who knows? Either way, whatever the case is, I do think that this Tony Chopper is very strong. And notice this, guys. This card is not type locked. It's not attribute locked, leader locked, whatever. This is just on play, set up to 2 of your Dawn cards as active. I'm seeing a lot of these cards, guys, with these standing Dawn as active effect. And I'm starting to think, this could be pretty good in Green, Blue, Zoro, and Sanji. We'll have to see what happens. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, moving over to the blue cards, guys. We were going in color order. We had 1 red event to go over. We had a bunch of green cards we just went over. Now we're going over the blue cards. Okay, first up here is Little Oars Jr. This is a blue, 7-cost, 7,000 power strike character with giant Whitebeard Pirates and subordinates type, okay? Or maybe it's Whitebeard Pirates subordinates for the second type there. And it's a 1K counter with, when attacking, if your leader has Whitebeard Pirates in their types, draw 1 card. So I will say, I don't think this card's insane, but it's still a pretty decent card. It's a 7-cost 7K with a 1K counter. That's actually a pretty fine stat line. Nothing terrible there. But it is a when attacking. If your leader has Whitebeard Pirates in their types, draw a card. And in the game of One Piece, when attacking effects are, you want really powerful effects, right? No matter what you're doing. And with when attacking effects, this could be really strong, but it is locked to Whitebeard Pirates only for the typing there. And then you draw a card. I would almost rather this had been an on-play, as crazy as that might sound, guys. I would actually have rather this been an on-play effect, so I can just cash in, get my draw 1 out of the way, and move on from there, and then take the Whitebeard Pirates type out completely. But that's just me trying to be a deck builder and build build as far and wide as I can with whatever card I get. But either way, in a Whitebeard Pirates deck, guys, I do think this is a very solid card. But one thing you have to also consider, if we're talking about Whitebeard Pirates, is in the 7-cost slot, we have Odin. So it's going to be very hard for this card to compete with a card like 7-cost Odin. Okay, the SR from ST22. And I'm sure there's other cards I'm not thinking of off the top of my head right now. Okay, so let's move on, guys. This card, like I said, looks pretty good, but I think it's going to be very hard for this card to find a spot in the Whitebeard Pirates deck for blue right now because of other cards that already exist. Okay, all right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, next up we have Fossum. This is a 2-cost, 3,000 power Whitebeard Pirates type character with a 1K counter, and if one of your characters with Whitebeard Pirates in their types would be KO'd by an opponent's effect, you may instead trash this card. Okay, so guys, I have a video coming out very soon. I hate to spoil it, I hate to tease it, but I'm going to be talking about how anti-removal is in this game right now. I feel like it's getting a little bit out of hand, but who knows? Like I said, I'm going to save that for another video. But this is another card that's anti-removal. It's built around anti-removal. So if one of your characters with the Whitebeard Pirates in their types would be KO'd by an opponent's effect, not in battle, but by an effect, you may instead trash this card. This is basically the blue Whitebeard version of Rosinante. Now, yes, Rosinante is also a blocker, but it's also a smaller character, so maybe that matters in the end, but I don't know. I think most people would rather this just been a 2-cost 1k blocker with this effect like Rosinante. But at the same time, I do think this effect is fine. I'm not saying it's broken or anything like that, even after saying that I think, you know, the anti-removal stuff's getting out of hand. It's not that I'm saying it's broken or anything. It's just, hopefully, Bandai's keeping close track of what else getting this kind of removal prevention, especially moving forward. Okay, good stuff here. Not too much to talk about. This is just a nice anti-removal card for blue Whitebeard Pirates. It is very restricted. You can only really run this within a Whitebeard Pirates type of deck, but it should go very well in there. But one thing I do want to mention is we have seen some cards now that kind of have this built in, right? We've seen with the 7-cost Odin I was talking about earlier, and then I think there's also a 6-cost Vista. It has built-in protection. It makes you wonder what a card like this might be really geared towards. Maybe it's to, I guess maybe it's to protect your other characters, right? You never know. Either way, solid utility piece here, but we'll see if it makes into the final version of the decks, considering that blue Whitebeard Pirates already has quite a bit of removal stuff built in. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, next up we have Rakuyo. This is a blue 3-cost 4,000 power Whitebeard Pirates character with a 1k counter. When attacking, if you have 4 or less cards in your hand, okay, give all your characters with Whitebeard Pirates and their types plus 1,000 power for this turn. So it only applies to Whitebeard Pirates characters, by the way, not leaders as well. And it's a conditional when attacking if you have 4 or less cards in your hand to buff your Whitebeard Pirates characters. So one thing I have to say, guys, and don't take this the wrong way, it's not me trying to complain or be negative or anything like that. I'm just trying to be honest. I'm trying to be truthful. One thing that I think Bandai has a real hard time with in this game is making a liege card. So that's what we used to call them in Magic the Gathering, especially back in the Shadow, more Eventide era, where there were cards that literally came out like, what was it, Wiltleaf Liege, Deathbringer Liege. They were these liege cards that buffed cards on the board that were certain colors based on the colors of the deck. And those cards, when you put them into play, they just buffed everything. There was no extra condition that needed to be met, like a win attacking or, Dawn ×1. Nope. You just put down the card and it buffed all your appropriate cards, right? And I think Bandai is just really struggling with that concept in this game because they've tried quite a few times now to build a card that just buffs the board. Now, don't get me wrong, for the Magic players out there, I'm not saying that every single, buff card needs to be as strong as, like, what was it, like Imperious Perfect or something like that. But I'm just trying to say that, I think that Bandai needs to be a little looser with making buff cards for this game, especially considering there are only 5 character spots on the entire board. So you put down your buff card, and now there's only 4 other spots even available. And that's assuming you have your entire board filled with cards that can get this buff. So I do hope that Bandai continues to experiment with this idea of buffing characters. Who knows what will happen in the future. But as far as this card goes, Rakuyo, I am not a huge fan of this effect here. When attacking, if you have 4 or less cards in hand, there's the first condition. Give all your characters with Whitebeard Pirates in their type, there's the second condition, plus 1,000 power for the turn. So this doesn't buff your whole board. You have to build the entire deck around Whitebeard Pirates, and you have to have your hand size low enough to even get this effect. So again, unfortunately, I'm not a huge fan of this card. Not saying it's bad. I hope someone can make it work. Maybe there's going to be a deck that just counters out super aggressively, slams down Rakuyo, and maybe floods the board with the 5-cost ace and goes from there. We'll have to see what happens. But other than that, very interesting card we have here. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, next up we have Brilliant Punk. This is a blue 4-cost Whitebeard Pirates event. With main, you may return one of your characters to the owner's hand, and then return up to 1 character of 6 cost or less back to the owner's hand. Trigger, draw 1 card. Okay, now this I love. I really am in love with this event here. So for 4 cost, you're returning one of your characters. So any kind of on-play effects, searchers, or whatever, you're pulling that back to your hand to bounce a 6-cost or lower character back to the owner's hand. So that's going to allow us to slow our opponent down for only 4 Dawn. That's not too bad, right? For 4 Dawn, we're going to get a searcher back to our hand or some type of utility on-play effect back to our hand, and then we're going to bounce our opponent's character back to their hand, slowing them down. We're getting another card back into our hand. So we're not even going down in hand size, and technically we are giving our opponent +1 hand size for the turn. We're giving them a card back to their hand. However, when played appropriately, you're going to be slowing your opponent down so much they might have lost the best character they had on the board, and now you're going from there. Think about it. You're trading a 4-cost event from your hand and a 1-cost searcher, you know, on the field that you're going to return back to your hand to cash in on later to bounce maybe their best character back to their hand on the board. Really, really big fan of this event. I do want to mess around with this, and it's not leader locked, guys. It's not type locked. It's not leader locked. It's just you may return one of your characters to the owner's hand. Really, really cool stuff here. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, next up we have Boa Sandersonia. Boa Sandersonia. And this is a blue 2-cost, 3,000 power Kuja Pirates character with a 1k counter. And on play, if your leader is Boa Hancock, okay, play up to 1 3-cost or lower Boa Hancock character card from your hand. Okay, very cool. So I can think of one Boa Hancock off the top of my head that's 3-cost or lower, and I think it's the 3-cost blocker, the one with trigger, right? Either way, I do love this. It looks like they're giving Boa Hancock some support. I'm a big fan of that. Now, there is another Boa we're going to be looking at in just a minute on this slideshow, so we'll have to remember this card when we get to it, because I think it is a 3-cost card. But either way, on play, if your leader's Boa, play up to 1 3-cost or lower Boa character card from your hand, and it's not rested. So you play this card out as a 2-cost 3k. That's kind of whatever. That can help you take out like little searchers or something like that, little whatever might be sideways on the board, little smaller cards. And it also is going to cheat out another card, so you're going down in hand size, which is going to go really good with the blue Boa Hancock leader effect, because you have to have your hand size under a certain amount to start drawing cards again. Really big fan of the design of this card. Okay, especially if we can get a lot of 3-cost or lower Boas that we can cheat out. Okay, next up we have Boa Marigold. Okay, this is a 5-cost, blue 5-cost, 5,000 power slash character with a 1k counter, Kuja Pirates type, and blocker. On play, if your leader is Boa Hancock, play up to 1 Boa Hancock with a cost of 6 or less from your hand. Okay, now we're talking. So, okay, being able to play out a 5-cost, 4,000 power blocker. 4,000 power is not even that bad, by the way. I understand it's meant to be probably more of a chump blocker, but attaching 1 Dawn, you're swinging into 5,000 power leaders. Attaching 2 Dawn, you're swinging into 6Ks. But otherwise, it's just a blocker, and it's a 1k counter in hand, and it allows you to cheat out a 6-cost or lower Boa Hancock. Guys, do y'all remember the 6-cost, 8,000 power Boa Hancock that came out? I mean, that could be very, very strong with this card. That could be a very, very powerful combo. And again, like I said, guys, it's nice to see Boa getting some support here, because I do think that deck was just a few cards away from being something very, very powerful. Okay? All right, good stuff here. Let's see what else we got. I know we got one other blue card, I think. Okay, Boa Hancock. Here we go. This is the card I was thinking of earlier, guys. This is a 3-cost, 5,000 power, blue, 7 Emperors, Kuja Pirates type character, Boa Hancock, with an on KO if your leader is Boa or multicolored. I appreciate them doing that. If your leader is Boa or multicolored, draw 2 cards. So this is the 3-cost 5k that you're probably meant to cheat out with the other card that we saw, this Boa Sandersonia. So we can just play this card out for 2 Dawn, and then from there we can cheat out a 3-cost 5k off of that. And guys, that is really nice, okay? Because it's a 3-cost 5,000 power character that has an on KO effect. I think they learned a very valuable lesson from the red 3-cost Sanji that came out, the Punk Hazard one. It looks like Nami, because that card has an on KO to draw a card. Okay, I think Bandai saw right away, like, you know what? That is a way we can add some actual, meaningful value to 3-cost, like 4-cost and 3-cost and lower cards, is instead of giving them a on-play effect, which is fine when they do that as well, but let's give them an on-KO effect, right? And I hope that's the design philosophy they keep moving forward, right? So in other words, on the characters that are like 4-cost and under, I'm fine when they have on-play effects or activate mains as well, but let's give those on KO effects, right? let's give them on KO effects, so that way our opponent doesn't really want to remove those, or we get something powerful like on KO draw 2. Right, I really do like that. And then maybe on the 5 cost and higher characters, or even the 6 cost and higher characters, give them some really powerful on play effects. I also think that would just help balance the game in general. Okay, but as far as this card goes, now it is technically leader locked to BOA or multicolored leaders, but I don't think that will be very hard to pull off. Multicolored leaders, there's a lot of multicolored leaders that have blue in their type that will probably want to run this card, especially now that we're, this is an OP13 character, right? So we will have PRB02 when this card comes out. And there's another character in there with an on KO effect that has draw 2 as well, right? The 4 cost Marco. So being able to play this, think about going on an odd curve maybe. You go turn 2, play out BOA. If you KO this card, I get to draw 2 cards. And then next turn, on a 5 Dawn turn, you can play out the 4 cost, what's his name, Marco, and if they KO that, you're drawing 2 cards. And then you'll have 1 Dawn left for the turn in that situation. So that could be very, very strong moving forward. I love when they do that. I'm okay when it's like, okay, if your leader is Boa Hancock or something else, draw 2, or do whatever the effect might be. I like when they open it up to more than just 1 leader. I understand when they have to do that for balance purposes, but I'm really glad they gave this card some extra potential. Okay, really good stuff here. Let's keep going. Okay, we actually had another blue card. Okay, we have Otama. This is a 1 cost, 0 power, 2k counter, land a Wano character with on play. If you have 3 or less life, draw 2 cards and trash 1 card from your hand. So, yeah, this is one of those cards where after it got revealed, people started adding me, on Discord and whatnot, and even like real life friends texting me or talking to me and stuff. We had at the time we were recording this video, we had the OP12 pre-release last night over here in the West, right? And a lot of my friends were saying, like, what do you think about this card? Yeah, this is pretty crazy in Nami, right? In Blue Nami in particular, this card seems insane. Now, in every other leader, this seems like just a really solid card that you'd want as a utility 2k counter for blue. Okay, but this on-play effect here, if you have 3 or less life, draw 2 cards and trash 1 from your hand. Guys, you run this and Kaya in Blue Nami, and if you get down to 3 or less life, your opponent isn't going to be in a lot of trouble, because now you have 8 ways to draw 2 cards at a time. Yes, Kaya does a draw 2, trash 2, but still, you're drawing 8 cards, or excuse me, with all these combined, right? 4 Kayas and 4 Otamas, each are 1 cost each. That didn't make sense. Y'all know what I mean. Each one of them are 1 cost. And here's the thing. They're drawing 2 cards. So 8 cards in the deck are 1 cost, draw 2s. That means, technically, for 8 Dawn, and if you're at 3 or less life, you can draw 16 cards in 1 turn for 8 Dawn. If you were to somehow have a way to loop these together, guys, it would be draw 2, draw 2, draw 2, draw 2. You could do that 16 cards deep into the deck. And for those who are wondering, in the game of One Piece, there's only 50 cards in a deck. And think of it like this, guys. In Nami, you're going to draw 5 cards to start the turn. There's going to be 5 cards in your life, okay? So there's only going to be 40 cards in your deck at any given, that's the most it could ever possibly be. So like I said, if you get to like an 8, 9, or 10 Dawn turn, technically, if you have 3 or less life, you can potentially draw through 16 cards in 1 turn on 8 Dawn. I'm not saying that's going to happen very often, but the fact that it even can happen is terrifying. It's terrifying. It gives Nami this new way to maybe go, you know what? Let's say I've got 2 or 3 Kayas in hand, or 2 or... Let's say I have 2 or 3 Otama and Kayas in my hand, and I have 3 or less life. Maybe I just want to go for it. If I only have like 16, maybe if I have like 20 cards left in my deck, maybe I'll actually like go through 3 of them here, and then on the next turn I'll just try to deck them out after they try to swing, and I'll get more, I'll trash more cards throughout the events and whatnot. But guys, this card, you start doing the math on something like this. Okay, so here's and guys, I actually wasn't thinking about Gum Gum Giant Gavel. Guys, Gum Gum Giant Gavel is also a 1 cost event that makes you mill 2 cards as well, and that one's a little bit different. It's a 1 cost 4k counter. You trash a card and then you mill 2 cards from the top of your deck, but that's 2 more cards you're going through. So think of it like this, guys: 4 Kayas, 4 Otamas, and 4 of Gum Gum Giant Gavel. Those are getting you through 8, 16, 24 cards in just those cards. Outrageous, man. That is going to be insane. We'll see what happens. Who knows what could happen from this, but it does seem a little bit scary. I'm sure the Nami players are very happy to see this, though. And if you find any way to bounce these cards back to your hand other than just... well, I think there was an event that could do it. I can't remember the name of it. It wasn't Slave Arrow, right? I think it had to be a 2-cost or higher to bounce back with Slave Arrow. I can't remember, but I think there was a card that could bounce this one back to hand. Arabesque Brick Fist and something else, I think. Whatever the case, very, very scary times ahead for the people who don't like going against Nami. This could really push that deck to the next level. We'll see what happens. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, now moving over to the purple cards, we have, first up here, we have Amatsuki Toki. This is a purple 2-cost, 3,000 power character with a 1k counter with Land of Wano and Roger Pirates type. And if one of your characters with Roger Pirates in its types were to be KO'd by an opponent's effect, you may trash this card instead. Oh, wow, another anti-removal card. Very nice. Yeah, you love to see it. You love to see it. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kind of messing around right now. Bear with me. Understand where I come from in this. The color that got me into this game is black. So I'm a control player. I got into this game in OP02. To be fair, I didn't know about the game in OP01. I didn't even know it existed, right? But I went to my local card shop, and I saw in there black Sakazuki, right? And it was one of those situations where I was like, okay, maybe I will give this game a try because I saw that. Now, there's a deeper story behind that, right? Me and my son were looking for something to play. He liked One Piece. I liked card games. It was like perfect from there, right? But when I decided on like, okay, we're actually going to give this game a try is when I saw the ST06 starter deck, Sakazuki. Absolute Justice, I think is what it was called. And I said, okay, we're going to give this a try because that looks really cool to me and there was removal built into it. Okay, we're going to try it. Well, guys, black is one of those colors in this game that really stuck with me. And then yellow came out. I moved over to yellow as well. But black and yellow are like my favorite colors in this game. And when I start to see all of this anti-KO removal, which that was the main way that black dealt with removal, right? Was with like cost-based removal that was KO-based. Makes me a little sad. I know some people are like, well, hey, sorry to hear that, bud, but we like it that way. I get it. I do get it. But I think, like I said, I know I mentioned this earlier, but we're going to be doing a video on that sometime pretty soon because I think the anti-removal's gotten a little bit out of hand, especially when we start talking about Emu and that whole entire crew there with the Gorsei and whatnot. Okay, but as far as this card goes, 2 cost, 3,000 power, 1k counter. It's just a great utility card for Roger Pirates, right? If one of your characters with the Roger Pirates in its types, specifically, right, were to be KO'd by an opponent's effect, you may trash this card instead. Okay, so any of your Roger Pirates type characters that are being targeted by KO removal, you'll be able to protect them with a card like this. Now, of course, this, starts asking even more questions like, well, what about Red Rock? Is Red Rock just always supposed to be allowed to be the most, like, superior form of removal in the entire game? I guess the answer is yes for now. But other than that, this card seems very strong. Again, it's more of a utility-based card. I don't know, maybe people will run 1 or 2 of these in their deck. We'll have to see what happens. It's also not a 2k counter, so it doesn't just get a free spot in the deck because of that. But whatever the case is, I think it will largely depend on how the format looks and how things shape up in the format, whether or not people play this card or not. Okay, all right, let's keep going. Okay, next up we have Neko Mamushi. This is a 3-cost purple character, 3,000 power, and a 2k counter. It's a Minx and Roger Pirates type character with an on play. If you have 8 or more Dawn cards on your board, okay, or if you have 8 or more Dawn on your board, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with an original power of 3,000 or less. Okay, so I guess this is Roger Pirates' version of Usohachi, and I think Usohachi is just better, period, right? In every way, shape, and form, Usohachi is just better than this card. Because this is even base power, right? So you can't even, like, reduce the power with something like a Gamma Knife and then hit something bigger than you'd want to, than it allows. Nope, it's just whatever an original power of 3,000 or less. You can on-play and KO that card. Again, it's not exactly like Usohachi, of course, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to say there. It's a simple matter of, like, okay, here's your utility 2k counter that's 3 cost that's meant to get around chump blockers later in the game. Well, Usohachi has, if you have 8 or more Dawn cards on your board, I think it's rest up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. I can't remember if it's a 6 or less or 5 or less, but I think it's a 5 or less, and that's just insane, right? Because, I mean, a 3,000 power character, a lot of blockers in the game right now. A lot of blockers in the game are pretty large, right? You know, I would say anywhere from like a 3 cost to a 5 cost. 3 to 5 cost is probably the standard blocker spot in the game right now, and a card like Usohachi can just get right past that. Now, with some 3 cost blockers, I think they are only 3,000 power or less. So yeah, this will work in that case, and it does KO them. But at the same time, sometimes resting is actually better than KOing, right? So I think Usohachi is just strictly better than a card like this. And even if I was running a Roger Pirates deck, I think I would just run Usohachi over this card. Even though it's not searchable, that almost just doesn't even matter because of how much better Usohachi is, but that's just my personal opinion. Either way, if you're trying to keep your deck thematic and everything like that, this will be a very solid 2K counter to run in a Roger Pirates deck. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we got Douglas Bullet. Okay, check this out, guys. We got Douglas Bullet. He looks like he's in his prime here. This is a 3 cost, 4,000 power, 1K counter, purple character with the film and former Roger Pirates type. If you have 8 or more Dawn on your board, this character has plus 2,000 power. Okay, guys, this is basically a 3 cost, 6,000 power character. Okay, that seems very, very strong. And then it has on play, if your leader has Roger Pirates in its type, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck rested. Wow, okay. So, guys, I will say that I'm trying to think. So, let's say we play this out. We have to play it out. If we're playing this in Roger Pirates, right, we would have to play this out on turn, on our 4 Dawn turn or more, right? 4 Dawn or higher turn. Because 1 Dawn will go on our leader, and then we have 3 Dawn to play this out. Okay, so it's a 4 Dawn turn, right? 1's on our leader, we attack in for the turn, and then we play out this Douglas Bullet. Okay, if our leader's Roger Pirates, we get to add up to 1 Dawn card from our deck rested. We go to 5 Dawn. Next turn, we go to 7 Dawn, and if we just have 1 extra way to ramp Dawn, well, now we have 8 or more Dawn on the board, and we're swinging for 6,000 power the turn after we play this card. So I do think this was a pretty well-designed card as far as like how it fits within the deck and how it flows on curve. Like, and especially, I mean, think about it, guys. If we play this out on like a 5 Dawn turn, okay, 1 Dawn goes to our leader no matter what. Okay, why not just attach another Dawn to our leader, swing for 7, then play this card out, and we're going from 5 Dawn to 6 Dawn, and next turn we're just on 8 Dawn. We don't have to ramp anymore or anything. So this card seems really good. This will be this was a card I do feel like was missing when I was doing my play testing with Roger, where it's like, okay, I have nothing to do in the early game. There's just nothing I can really do except ramp. Well, this card ramps and is actually an attacker as well. This seems like it will be very, very strong within Roger Pirates. Really good stuff here. Now, it is leader locked. One more thing I want to say before we move on. Unfortunately, this card is leader locked. I don't know if this card needed to be leader locked, though. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's to prevent Purple Straw Hats from getting their hands on a card like this. But on play, if your leader has Roger Pirates in its types, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. I'm actually sad that that was leader locked. Who knows? Like I said, it's probably for balance purposes, of course. But regardless, very, very strong character here in the right deck. Okay, let's keep going. Next up, we got a purple event here. It's called Guess We'll Have Another Scrap. You can only risk death while you're still alive. Okay, very interesting name there, guys. Let me read that again. Guess we'll have another scrap. Hang on. Guess we'll have another scrap. You can only risk death while you're still alive. That's cool. Okay, very cool quote there. This is a 1-cost purple event, Pirate King and Roger Pirates type. Main, you may rest 1 of your Dawn cards, and if your leader is Goldie Roger, and you have any given Dawn, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck rested. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. Counter, your leader gains plus 3,000 power during this battle. So this is another 1-cost 3K utility counter for the leader. And check out the main effect. You might think like, oh, you can ramp on just 2 Dawn. It's like, well, no, this is basically Roger's version of Gear 2, right? Where it's like, okay, it's going to cost 3 Dawn altogether, but in this case, 1 Dawn will be on your leader because that's how Roger works, right? Okay, you know, you could do this starting on your 3 Dawn turn and after. So attach, you know, you're going to have to attach a Dawn to your leader right when you untap and right when you set your cards as active, and you know, right away the leader's going to force you to give 1 Dawn to him, and then you only have 2 Dawn left for the turn. Okay, well, if that's the case, we will attach it. We will pay 1 for the event, and then pay 1 to activate the main effect here, and that will be 3 Dawn altogether, but it will ramp us to our 4th Dawn. Hopefully that made sense. I know that was a little bit all over the place, but hopefully that made sense. I think this is just meant to be the Gear 2 for Roger Pirates. So really good stuff here. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this. This is just a excellent utility, 1-cost 3K counter. Very, very strong effects here. It's going to help them ramp without having to burn up their 2K counter buggy in the process. Okay? All right, let's keep going. All right, next up we got some black cards here. First up we have Morgans. This is a black 3-cost, 4,000 power, 1K counter journalist type character. And check this out, guys. Read this one very carefully. It's a 3-cost 4K blocker with a 1K counter. And then on play, draw 2 and trash 2 cards from your hand. Guys, that is really, really nice. So I will go as far as to say is like I will say that this is pretty much one of the best utility 3-cost blockers in the game right now, because you play it out for 3. First of all, it's a 3-cost 4K. I mean, I can attach one Dawn and swing for 5, and now sure, attacking my guy, I don't care because my effect is on play and it's a blocker anyway, right? So we can play this out as a 3-cost 4K blocker and attack with it into most decks just by attaching one Dawn. But then on play, draw 2 and trash 2. That is awesome, guys. You're filling up your trash, you're fixing your hand, you're cycling through cards. I think this card is excellent. Not busted or anything. I'm not saying it's broken, but man, what a great utility piece for any deck that splashes or runs black. And then later in the game, okay, I'm in trouble. I have to survive one more turn, right? No problem. I'm going to pay 3, play out this guy, Morgans here, and then I'm going to draw 2 trash 2. That was for 3 Dawn. You know what you could do afterwards? I don't know, maybe play out the 5-cost Sabo. That then makes it where all your cards cannot be KO'd and draw 2 trash 2 more. So think about that one combo alone, guys, later in the game. On a 10 Dawn turn, if you just need to survive one more turn to win the game, okay, no problem. I'm gonna play out the 3-cost Morgans, draw 2 trash 2, play out the 5-cost Sabo, draw 2 trash 2, and protect my board from KO-based removal. And now I have 2 Dawn left for the turn for maybe an event or whatever. And I have 2 blockers that cannot be KO'd now. That could be really, really solid. I'm a big fan of this card. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, next up we have Koala. This is a 5-cost, 6,000 power, 1K counter character with the Dressrosa and Revo Army type. And it has, if your leader has the Revolutionary Army type, this character has +3 cost. Okay, perfect. So it's an 8-cost character. That goes right on theme with our Revolutionary Army stuff. Activate main once per turn. You may place 1 card from your trash to the bottom of your deck and give up to 1 rested Dawn to your leader or characters. Okay, so that's not too bad, but it's also not incredible. It does allow you to recycle your trash a little bit if that's needed, but you are just giving a Rested Dawn card. Unfortunately, I don't know if this card will make its way into any kind of Black Dressrosa Revo Army deck. I guess specifically Black Revolutionary Army type deck. Am I missing something here, guys? Because, again, your leader does have to be Revolutionary Army in order to get the +3 cost built in, and we want that, right? That's like built-in evasion. But the Activate main here is really, think about it, you have to place a card from your trash to the bottom of your deck to give up to 1 Rested Dawn card to your leader or characters. And for 1 Dawn more, we have the 6-cost, 7,000 power Secret Sabo that just adds a Dawn to your leader every single turn. And then you get your effect like that, and then you start recycling those from your trash because it's a blocker, with your 8-cost dragon. So I think, let me say it like this, guys. From my early testing of Red Black Sabo, the new OP13 Red Black Sabo, I don't see where this card would fit in that package, because I don't really care about the 5-cost spot in the deck. Even if I'm on a 5-cost turn, I'm probably just going to play out my 4-cost hack and attach it on to my leader, right, and go from there. And yes, I understand you can activate main to do this, but this card doesn't have blocker, right? So that's kind of my main concern there, and I don't want to put cards from my trash to the bottom of my deck, right? That's actually not something I want to do. I want to put cards from the top of my deck into my trash instead. Now, I understand there's probably going to be a situation someone can come up with where this card's very strong, but in general, I'm not really in love with what this card's doing. And I have to think as well, this is Koala, right? It doesn't say Koala up there on the for the name of the card, but I'm pretty sure this is Koala. And I can't remember, is this even going to be searchable within for the Black Revolutionary Army Searcher? Because I think that card is Koala. I could be wrong. I can't remember, guys. I've seen a lot of cards over the past few days and whatnot, and over the past few weeks even, like going over these OP13 cards. We'll have to see what happens. Whatever the case, tell me what you guys think about this card in the comment section below. I'm really not a huge fan of this card, unfortunately, but I do think it's just a common, guys. If I can see down here, let me try to zoom in some. I think it is just a common. It's kind of hard to tell with the resolution, but that looks like a C to me. So if it's just a common card, okay, I get it. It's not meant to be the craziest card out there. And in that case, this card's just fine. Okay, all right, let's move on to the next one. Okay, next up we have Saint Rosward. This is a 3-cost, 0-power, 1k counter Celestial Dragons type character. With on play, you may trash 1 card from your hand, okay? And if you only have Celestial Dragon type characters in play, KO up to 2 characters with an original cost of 3 or less. Okay, that's interesting. So I guess they're trying to give Emu the ability to deal with the go wide decks right out of the gate. Hey, I mean, I don't think people who are playing Emo are going to be complaining too much about that, right? I mean, yeah, sure, I guess they'll take it. And it does have a 1k counter built in as well. There's really not a downside to this card. There's enough searching within that deck, within Emu already, that maybe you'll only want to run like 2 or 3 of these, so that way you can keep the core of the deck still strong. But otherwise, this is still a very solid card here. It's a 3-cost. It's a 0-power card, but it's not meant to attack ever. It's literally meant for control, so that you can beat down your opponent's board early on and make it to the late game where you start flooding the board with all your bigger characters, with all the 5 elders. So on play again, guys. So you're playing this card out and you're trashing a card from hand. So you are going -2 in hand, but it's meant to do -2 on the board, right? So on play, trash a card from your hand, and if you only have Celestial Dragon type characters in play, you can KO up to 2 of your opponent's, up to 2 characters with an original cost of 3 or less. I wonder if that translation is correct. It just says KO up to 2 characters. And if it doesn't specify opponent's characters, you could even potentially KO your own if you needed to. I'm not saying you'd want to do that very often, but it's always good to know about the details there, about the specifics. But either way, solid card here. I don't really have much bad things to say about it. You're not going to be able to combo this with the other Celestial Dragon characters that came out a while ago, where it reduces the cost of characters across the board, because this goes off of original cost, it says. An original cost of 3 or less. But either way, I think the card's fine. I don't know if Emu needed this early on. Like, hey, yeah, I think it's okay for the deck to be super strong if it has, like, you know, a glaring weakness. But it seems like they're trying to, because we don't know yet, right, guys? We don't know yet. But I thought, okay, you know what's probably going to really stop Emu is the go wide fast decks, right? Okay, well, then if that's the case, let's just print the answer right away. That's what it seems like to me. Tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. Who knows, guys? I have absolutely no idea, but it does seem like it was a little early to print a card like this for Emu. It's like, well, let's see how well the leader does in the format when it gets released, and then if it has one glaring weakness that makes it unplayable, okay, well, then maybe in the next set we can print something like this. Whatever the case is, we'll have to see what happens. But this seems like a very solid utility removal piece for Emu very early on. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, next up we have St. Charlos. This is a black 2-cost 0-power Celestial Dragon with a 1k counter, and it has blocker, and then on play, trash 1 card from the top of your deck. Okay, this seems really strong, and from early testing, what I saw in the East is some people were already running a card called, I think the card's name was Nefeltari Cobra, and it was basically this card, if I'm not mistaken. It was literally just a 2-cost. It might have been a 2-cost 1,000 power character with a 1k counter, but it was a blocker that had on play, or maybe it was on KO to trash a card from the top of your deck. I can't remember exactly, but I think this will fit in perfectly at the place of Nefeltari Cobra, because this will be Celestial Dragon searchable. Okay, but either way, 2 costs, 0 power, 1k counter, blocker. Yep, that's fine, because that's all that Emu is trying to do from what I've seen so far. They just want to stall and get to the late game. And this card also trashes a card from the top of your deck, filling up your trash. Seems really, really strong, and this will fit perfectly within that, within that deck, or at least it seems like it. Okay, let's keep going. Not too much to talk about with that one. Okay, next up we have Connie. This is a yellow 1-cost, 1,000 power, 1k counter Bonnie Pirates type character. Okay, with the effect opponent's turn, when a trigger effect activates, this character gains blocker for this turn. And then trigger plays this card. Okay, that's interesting. So on your opponent's turn, when a trigger effect activates, this character gains blocker for this turn. Okay, so That's a very specific effect here, guys. I'm not sure how much I love this. And once you run out of life cards, you're not getting any more triggers. So this is just a 1-cost 1k on the board. Notice what it says here, guys. On your opponent's turn, when a trigger effect activates, this character gains blocker for this turn. So this is not even like one of those cards you can play out later in the game and like just be a little one-cost blocker. It literally won't be if you have no life left, because there's no trigger that can happen. So I'm not a huge fan of the design of this card, unless I'm misunderstanding something, guys. Y'all tell me in the comment section below if I'm missing something. Let me even read it one more time. Opponent's turn. When a trigger effect activates, this character gains blocker for this turn. Yeah, so if it's your opponent's turn, they shouldn't be having any triggers, right? It won't matter what life they're at. They're not going to be activating triggers because we can't deal damage to them on their turn, right? I mean, I can't think of any card off the top of my head that can do that, but we can't deal damage to them on their turn, so they can't activate triggers. It'd have to be triggers we take. So early on, I guess maybe this is fine as like an early an early play. If we're playing this in Bonnie from OP13, okay, let's just say we play this on like a... But then, see, early on, it doesn't matter as much, because they're only going to have the one attack, so who cares if we get blocker? I don't know. Whatever the case is, maybe it's meant to be like a mid-game card. Maybe when we have like 5 or 6 Dawn on the field. Maybe, let's say we have 6 or 7 Dawn on the field, and we have this card down. Our opponent attacks in. We take the first hit. It's a trigger. Okay, nice. Now we'll make this card a blocker, and we'll block out of the second attack. And with it being a 1-cost trigger card, that will attach 2 Dawn to our leader. So that's got to be what this card is meant for, guys. After thinking about this and like trying to work it out, this card has to be meant for using cards other than triggers in Bonnie, in the yellow OP13 leader Bonnie. This card is probably meant to be a utility piece, so you don't have to build the entire deck with just triggers. That way, like, let's say you're on a 6 Dawn turn, right? If you're on a 6 Dawn turn, say you play out a 5-cost card with no trigger, just some really powerful 5-cost card. Who knows? Maybe it's even something like, 5-cost, 7,000 power ace or something like that, right? Okay, so we play that card down right away. Well, we didn't play a card with trigger. Well, now we don't get to attach 2 Dawn to our leader for free. That's where this card comes in. Okay, no problem. I'll play this card out for the 1 remaining Dawn I had left for the turn. And even though this only costs 1, my leader effect will still allow me to attach up to 2 Dawn, 2 rested Dawn to a character or leader for the turn, because I played out a trigger character. So that's got to be what this card was meant for. But I'm not really in love with what it's trying to do. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if this card will find a spot in the deck. Could be interesting, but who knows? You guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. All right, next up we have Paper Art's After Image. This is a yellow 2-cost event. It is an egghead CP0 type of event with counter. Up to one of your leaders or character cards gains plus 3,000 power during this battle. Then if your opponent has 2 or less life cards, up to one of your leader or characters gains plus 1,000 for this turn. Okay, and then trigger draws a card. Okay, that's interesting. So guys, this is a 2-cost 4K. But it's a 2-cost 4K that makes your leader 6,000 power even afterwards, right? So you buff your leader up afterwards. Hang on a second. Up to one of your leaders. Okay, so this is not a leader locked effect right here, guys, or event rather. So you can run this in any yellow deck. That's interesting. Up to one of your leaders or character cards gains plus 3,000 power during this battle. Then if your opponent has 2 or less life cards, up to one of your leader or characters gains plus 1,000 power for this turn. Okay, interesting. That's kind of cool. I'm not a huge fan of it. I wish it had some other type of effect, or maybe if it was the other way around, right? Maybe if it was like plus 2,000 power for the battle and plus 2,000 for the turn, but then maybe it would have been too strong. But it is very conditional, right? Because, okay, first of all, it's a 2-cost counter, so I need some type of very powerful effect to justify not playing out something, an extra 2 costs from the turn before, leaving 2 Dawn open, right? Okay, so, and it also has, then if your opponent has 2 or less life cards. So it's a 2-cost event. My opponent has to have 2 or less life cards, and then it's only a 4K counter. So, I mean, guys, I will say this. In this age we're in now where there's plenty of 1-cost 4K counters in the game, with this being a 2-cost 4K, it doesn't seem as good to me. And I understand that plus 1,000 is for the whole turn. I get that. But at the same time, I wish that maybe they had made it into a 2-cost 2,000 power buff for the battle and 2,000 for the turn. I think that would have been a little bit more appropriate. And if you guys disagree, by all means, say something down in the comment section below. I just ask that you please be respectful. Otherwise, I do think this is a really cool card here. And check out the art on it, guys. That looks awesome. Look at that. Lucci's about to just destroy poor Stussy here with this little finger pistol type of attack, and she's like, nope, sorry, bud. I'm not going to spoil it, but it doesn't go Lucci's way, right, guys? It does not quite go Lucci's way. Okay, but either way, this is a really, really cool event here. I'm not a huge fan of it. I wish it was a 2,000 power buff and for the battle and 2,000 for the turn. I think that would have made it a little bit more viable to run. But who knows, guys? Maybe you try to run this even in like a, I'm trying to think, guys. Maybe in like some type of purple-yellow deck or something like that, where you maybe can buff your leader through other means as well. Like with that, I think there's a new, we already know about 7-cost Eustace Kid that can buff your leader, and then maybe even, I think there's even an 8-cost 10,000 power promo Roger coming out that can buff your leader by 2,000 as well. I don't think it's leader locked. So if you have something like that going for you, and then you leave 2 Dawn active, okay, well now I'm going up to like a 8,000 power leader or something like that, something like, you know. So we'll have to see what happens. Either way, interesting effect. I'm very curious to see if anyone's going to be able to make this event work for them. Okay, let's keep going. I think we have one more here, guys. So we got Gum Gum Dawn Stamp. This is a yellow 5-cost event. Okay, this costs 5, so I'm expecting quite a bit here. It is an Egghead 4 Emperor Straw Hat Crew event. With main, you may turn 1 card from the top of your life cards face up. KO up to one of your opponent's characters with an original cost of 6 or less. Trigger, draw 1 card. So, I'm not a huge fan of this one, guys, I have to say. I mean, you have to... So, guys, bear with me. I might go on a bit of a tangent here. Might go on a bit of a rant, okay? Who knows what I'm going to say? Guys, I'm going to like just kind of ramble for a minute. What do you guys think I'm going to say? What card do you think I'm going to compare this to? Hey, guys, what card do you think I'm going to compare this to? I'm going to give you a hint. A card that might cost just 1 more. A card that might just cost 1 more. It might be in the color blue. It might hit any character in the game, and it might bottom deck the card instead. So again, so for 5 costs here for main, we're going to turn 1 card from the top of our life cards face up, and then we're going to KO up to one of our opponent's characters with an original cost of 6 or less. Well, all right. Well, that was a fun card to talk about. Let's keep going. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, that's wild to me. I can't believe this is not Red Rock 2.0 right here. Because, I mean, with the way that the game's going, why didn't we get a 6-cost card? I've been saying this for a while, guys. I understand that every color should not have the exact same, you know, features as other colors. But I think that every single color should have a way to interact with cards on the board, right? And they do. Every color does have a way to interact with cards on the board. With blue, in particular, they have a 6-cost card named Red Rock. That was the card I was just joking about. It's a 6-cost card that can bottom deck any character in the game. It doesn't care what cost it is. There's no stipulation, and the trigger is actually very strong as well. It can bottom deck a 4 or less card, okay? So this card is a 5-cost, so yes, it's 1 less. It costs 1 less than Red Rock. I have to reveal the top card of my life just to be able to get this effect to happen. That is part of the cost to play this event. And then I can KO up to one of my opponent's characters with an original cost of 6 or less. So in other words, so what you're telling me is, you know, for 1 cost more, I can just bottom deck any character in the game? That just seems kind of odd to me. And again, I'm not trying to be negative. I know I'm ranting a little bit here. We're not trying to be negative, guys. Bear with me. The trigger, draw 1 card. I'm fine with the trigger just being draw 1 card. I truly don't care about the trigger part of it. That's something that's like very minimal compared to like the grand scheme of things. How often is the trigger going to happen? Probably once out of every 10 or 15 games or something, right? Or who knows? Maybe once out of every 4 or 5 games, depending on how many you run. But that first part, though, the main effect, I don't understand. So let me say this, guys. I have to talk about Raigo. It's also known as Kingdom Come, is the English version. Raigo, I think, is the Japanese translation, and then the English translation is Kingdom Come. And let me say it like this. I was okay with them removing that card if they were going to replace it with something that was more balanced and more in line with their design intentions, right? And I was thinking what they should have done was print a 6-cost card, just like Red Rock, and instead of it being a card that bottom decked a card like what Blue's known for, why couldn't it be a card that put a card into the life, like what Yellow's known for? And instead, what we saw was Merman Combat Ultramarine or something like that. I can't remember. Instead, we got a 6-cost event that can put, I believe it's a 6-cost card into the top or bottom of a character, of a player's life. And it's just, I butchered that, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. I just truly don't understand with what's going on here with yellow. I was a big fan of what I saw with Jory Bonnie, but with this event right here, I do not understand in what world this card needed to only KO a 6 or less for 5 Dawn and having to reveal the top card of my life. Because you have to understand how limiting that makes it within yellow in general. Now, if I wanted to run this card in like black-yellow Luffy, well, now I can't even take that first, whatever that hit might have been, right? If I'm running this in blue-yellow ace, now I'm going to lose the top card of my life at the end of my turn. So, I mean, this is an Egghead for Emperor Straw Hat Crew card, so I'm assuming this was meant for Jory Bonnie in particular. Well, why couldn't they have gotten some type of Red Rock card, right? Why couldn't Yellow have gotten a 6-cost event that puts a character of any cost onto the top or bottom of the life cards of the owner's life cards face up or face down? It doesn't matter to me. I just don't understand why we got stuck with this here. This one tilted me a little bit. I'm not going to lie, guys. I saved this one for last. I know, I was going in color order, but when I saw this, I was like, okay, that's good that it's yellow. We're going to talk about that at the very end, because this one tilted me a little bit. Not trying to be mean, not trying to be rude or negative or disparaging or anything like that. Of course, I'm going to try to make any card work that I can, but knowing that a card like this exists in conjunction or like right next to a card like Red Rock, kind of confusing to me. How for 1 Dawn more, blue can just bottom deck anything in the game, but for, like I said, for 1 Dawn less, yellow can only hit a 6 cost or lower. It's very, very odd to me. And we have to reveal the top card of our life. There has to be an added stipulation. Who knows? We'll have to see what happens. Okay, well, guys, I think that's it. The last thing we have to talk about is here on the screen. I'm just going to, I guess I'll shrink my camera down for this part, guys. So this is like the last slide we're going over. There will be an announcement. Okay. I'm just going to read what it says on the screen here. Bandai announces a ban list revision has been set for August 20th, 4 days from now. Okay? 4 days from the time you're recording and putting this out. The following message reflects when it likely will be published in your time zone. Now, this is my time zone. I'm Eastern, right? I live in Florida in the United States. So this is my time zone that you see on the screen here, which is Wednesday, August 20th at 7 a.m. So bright and early for me, okay? But make sure that you guys know whatever that is in your time zone. This is Eastern for me. I think we're like -5. I can't remember. It's like -5 or -8. I can't remember. Whatever the case is. So that's it, guys. I will say, I don't know why Bandai has to do this, by the way. This kind of stuff has been frustrating me and quite a few other people. Why can't they just tell us? I mean, so if you know what you're doing, just tell us. I mean, hey, we're all adults here, right? Theoretically. I'm sure kids play this game too, but the people who are following it on Discord, either A, they're very mature enough to have like that adult mindset of whatever gets released, or B, they're literally adults. Like, okay, just tell us what it is. Why are we playing this waiting game? I'll end it right there, guys. I don't want to end on a negative note. Let me just say this, guys. OP13 looks incredible, okay? I got to just end it right there. Hang on. We're going straight to the outro page. I can't end on a negative note like that. Sorry, guys. Tell me what y'all think. What do y'all think is going to get banned? What do you think about OP13? Everything looks so awesome so far from OP13. Some stuff looks insanely powerful. I know I teased quite a few times in today's video. I do plan on making a video very soon that talks about removal and removal prevention going on in One Piece. Will it be a problem in the future? We'll have to see what happens, and you guys tell me what y'all think about that as well. All right, I'm done. Hope y'all enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Guys, if you are liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, viewing, using my TCG Player affiliate link, if you're supporting me through donations on Patreon or PayPal, Playmat supporters, YouTube members, Discord community, you name it. However you help me out or however you're helping out the community. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate each and every one of y'all. Hope y'all enjoyed. Till next time, peace.